and I only have Khaterah on Saturday night, so I like to pick a topic that's relevant to the best of my ability. So I think it's only appropriate that we talk about da'wah during the month of outreach that the MWN, had assigned this month for outreach and for general da'wah. Of course, we should do it all year long, but we always put together a little season to revive that feeling, and then it continues. Kind of like Ramadan. You do it once a month, but it doesn't mean that you only obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this 1 month. It's just to recharge the batteries. The Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يسروا ولا تعسروا وبشروا ولا تنفروا. That's it, that's the hadith. 4 words. That يسروا, make things easier for people and do not make them difficult in your da'wah and everything. And it's interesting how this hadith, you come across this hadith a lot in many different words and many different occasions. When there's a hadith متفق على صحته, it means at least 20, 30 sahabi have narrated this hadith. It means it happened multiple times. A lot of people heard it. And this was the advice of the Prophet ﷺ in all his life. Every time he sent a campaign or a group for da'wah or whatever, he always gives them this advice. That be easy on people, take it easy. Because they see how the Prophet ﷺ, his life is structured, and then there are things that he would never really, bargain. So that he didn't want people to feel that to be too militant about it. But no, make it easier for people. So we always say, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْنَا مُيَسِّرِينَ لَا مُعَسِّرِينَ, that we've been sent to ease things for people, not to make them difficult. And it's very easy to fall into this trap of kind of like being uptight about religion. You see that in certain people. And then the second part says, وَبشروا, and convey glad tidings, good news to people. وَلَا تُنَفِّرُوا, and don't be repulsive in your da'wah, in any form of life, in any form of practicing of Islam. So there are interesting things. Number 1, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة, right? That call to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with wisdom, and the wisdom, hikmah, there's so many definitions to it. But the most common definition is the ability to know what's right and do it at the right time, and the ability to know what's wrong and avoid that. It's basically being wise. You know how that's exactly what this is, one of the most common. So sometimes you use certain types of da'wah with one person, it might not work with the other. Is to be able to practice, to apply what actually will work for in the situation. وَالْمَوْعِظَ الْحَسَنَةِ, with beautiful teaching, because you have to be. Otherwise, why would I adopt your religion if it's not beautiful for me, if it's not attractive? And also remember one thing, inshallah. Sometimes you call people and they don't respond, and that's just part of life. That's just part of it. The Prophet ﷺ, half of his family not only didn't believe in him, but actually fought against him and got killed in the process. Two of his uncles, half of his family, and a lot of his tribe, half of his tribe fought against him. He was okay with that. Well, he had to be, because his job, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ, that you don't give guidance to those who according to your liking. No, your job is to, the Prophet's job in da'wah is to show what's right and what's wrong, and then that's it. Leave it. You cannot. There's absolutely no compulsion. You can't even force your 6-year-old to eat their broccoli or to do anything that they don't want to do. Let alone forcing someone actually to adopt a new lifestyle. You can't. They have to adopt it. So number 1. Number 2, you might actually give da'wah to someone, but they might reply, but not right away. Maybe 15 years down the road. You never know. You might leave that seed and let it be. And the last thing, da'wah with verbal da'wah, I think is the weakest form of da'wah. And you only do it at the end when they're really interested. I think the best da'wah to do is actually the da'wah al-fi'li is actually practical da'wah. Because if there's so many stories where you find people practice something and the other person is impressed. And to you, well, of course, this is not mine, or this is natural thing to do because you've been raised that way since childhood, that if you borrow money, you have to give it back. It's just part of it because it's haram. Other people might find it very strange that no one's chasing you. Why would you give this money back, for instance, right? And little things like that could show, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the teaching of Islam, and people will be attracted. I found it to be very powerful, actually, practical da'wah. Sometimes you don't need to say much. You just practice. You just be. And then when they're interested, they'll ask you. They'll say, why do you do this? This sounds this looks very different. You're not the same as other people. Now you can practice actually verbal da'wah, but mainly is practice. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ did. He used to stand in front of the mushrikeen and just recite the Quran. And that's it. He did that. Or he would practice in a certain way that once he talked to them, that's it. They're converted on the spot. Because there's just this compelling his personality and the way he practiced his life that they couldn't really reject what he's saying. Most of them, those who accepted it. So I hope this was of benefit. يروي الإمام مسلم والإمام البخاري كلهم في صحيح بسند صحيح عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله تعالى عنه وارضاه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يسروا ولا تعسروا وبشروا ولا تنفروا. وصدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك